Okay, class, let's take a look at these two problems. I'm not going to do every single step, but I am going to give you a pretty good chunk here so you sort of know what's going on and can at least get through some of these. First period students, we are going to sort of backtrack since we struggled with getting those defined this morning, Monday morning. Okay, so if we look through, let's start at number 1. First of all, I sent out a message in Canvas for my first period students, but remember this should be changed to length. Okay, so the width of a rectangle is 7 more than the length. The area is 198 square inches. What are the dimensions of the rectangle? So we know we want to start with this phrase right here where the width of a rectangle is 7 more than the length. Okay, so we have the word width and then we have the word length. Whatever we read second is what we are defining as itself. So the length is going to equal L. Okay, our width is, so equals 7 more than, right? 7 more than is telling us to add at the end, then the length. Okay, we then know that the area of the rectangle, so area of a rectangle is area equals length times width, right? So we have area equals length times width, where it tells us the area is 198 square inches. Our length is still L. Our width is now L plus 7. So if we want to solve this, right, we're going to distribute. So L times L is L squared. L times 7 is 7L. And if you want to rewrite this to what we're used to, we would probably say, here, let me get a different color so we don't sort of get confused of what's happening where. We would probably rewrite this into L squared plus 7L equals 198. Okay, we then want to solve this. So B's odd, so probably not for the majority of you going to go with completing the square. So we can set this equal to 0. So we'll say L squared plus 7L minus 198 equals 0. Okay, so you can then go through here and use the quadratic formula to solve. Okay, so do that to solve and get an answer. Remember, when you solve, you'll get 2 answers. Those aren't your length and width. Those are your 2 potential answers for your length. The negative answer isn't reasonable. We can't have a negative length. So you'll take your positive answer and you're going to plug it back in for what you defined your width to be. Okay. So then let's make sure we can get number 2 started. So the length of the rectangle is twice the width. So here's our comparison phrase right here. We read width second, so that's what we're going to define first. So width equals W. The length is twice the width. Okay, so we know the area. So area equals length times width is our formula. The area is 288. Our length is, what did we say? 2W. Our width is W. So 2W times W is going to give us 2W squared. You could solve this with the quadratic formula, or you can just solve by taking a square root. Okay, so remember, right, we have to consider both options here, that this is plus or minus 12. Okay, which means our width could be 12 or our width could be negative 12, but the negative 12 isn't a reasonable answer. So to find that length, we want to take this 12 and we want to plug it in all the way back up here where we defined what our length would be. So we'll say that our length is then going to be 2 times the 12 that W now equals. So whether our length is 24, our width is 12, and then make sure you get some labels on those.